Buying your first home can be intimidating and it can also be a daunting task. Something that you've never done before. You don't know what's coming around the next turn. And most oftentimes when I talk to first-time home buyers, they just want to know about the process. So that's what I'm going to give you in this video. I'm going to give you step-by-step exactly what you need to be thinking about, what you need to be preparing for, and then that way you're going to be set up for success whenever you look forward to buying your first home. Okay, so let's get right into it. What is the first step that you need to take whenever you're thinking about buying a home? I want to look at this from the buyer's perspective. I want to look at this from your perspective. I'm a real estate agent. I've been a real estate agent here in Midland for quite a while. I know what it takes, but this is your first time actually doing this. And so whenever you're thinking about buying a house, what's the first question you ask yourself? Or what's the first thing you do? Usually you go around, you start looking at houses. And so I'm gonna tell you that is not the first thing you need to do. The first thing you need to do is go out and find yourself a good realtor or someone that can actually help you and guide you through the process. Doing exactly what I'm doing with you right here. You wanna figure out exactly what you need to do so you can be prepared in order to make that first purchase. But you need to work with good information, right? You don't want to start out getting bad information and then come to find out that, all the info that you got and the whole part in your head that you were trying to make a decision on is all wrong. You've started off on the wrong foot. And so a real estate agent, they're your advocate. A real estate agent is actually a fiduciary. A fiduciary is a different relationship than you have with any other salesperson that you have been involved with. And so really, to keep it short, a fiduciary has to do what's in your best interest and not in their best interest. They have to put your interest above their own. And if they don't do that, it's actually against the law. So you can have confidence that you're getting protected whenever you start out your home buying journey. But that's the absolute first thing you need to do. You need to find someone who knows what they're doing. They're gonna go out and they're gonna help you through this process. Because as a first-time home buyer, you don't know what's gonna happen. You don't know what's coming next. And you need someone that you trust that can walk you through that. Now, after you pick your realtor, they're gonna go over a few things with you. They're gonna talk about what your needs are, what your wants are, why are you making the move. The next thing that you're gonna have to do is you're gonna need to get pre-approved for a loan. Now, whenever you get pre-approved for a loan, you're gonna wanna talk to a lender, a reputable lender, someone that's gonna take you through the process and they're gonna lay everything out for you. Now, the first thing they're gonna do is they're gonna have you fill out an application. And this is gonna give them all the information that they need to figure out if you're gonna actually be approved for a loan. Now, there are a few things that you need to think about whenever you are applying or before you even apply for a loan. There are some questions that you can answer for yourself to know that you're actually moving in the right direction. One is that you need to have at least 2 years of employment. It doesn't have to be at the same job, but it needs to be in the same career field. Now, if you're not sure if that's the case, that's why you need to talk to a lender. Because sometimes the lender, they have certain guidelines, and even though you have changed jobs or maybe even be in a different career field, they can use your past experience and connect that 2 years. For example, if you're a salesman, you might be a shoe salesman and then you become an oil-filled tools salesman. Well, the fact that you are a salesman and you've been a salesman for 2 years, they can possibly use that and still qualify as far as for your 2 years. Now, the next thing that you're gonna wanna look at is your credit score. Now, you can check your credit score in a lot of different places. A lot of times lenders use a different system than what you're gonna use to check your credit score. And so if your credit score is below a 580 or in the low 500s or below, you're probably gonna need a little bit of work in order to get approved for your loan, but that shouldn't stop you. That's just the marker for you to look at to let you know that you might be able to actually get approved for a loan, right? I've had folks who have thought they had 500 credit scores and they end up having 600 credit scores, or they think they have a 600 and they end up having like in the high sixes or whatever. Everything is totally based off what they pull from their system, right? So just because you see one thing does not mean that that's actually the truth. You need to go to the person who's actually gonna be helping you with that to see if that's the case. These are just guidelines that you can use whenever you are looking to get approved for a loan. And then the next thing you're gonna wanna look at is if you are are self-employed or if you actually get a W-2. Now, it doesn't really matter to you, but you're gonna want to make sure you let your lender know that, because they're gonna have to look at things a little bit differently. You also wanna file your taxes as well. If you haven't filed your taxes, that could possibly put you behind the 8 ball as well. Now, let's talk a little bit about loan types. There are 3 different types of loans that most first-time home buyers use. That's gonna be an FHA loan, a conventional loan, and a VA loan. Now, there are other loans as well that you can use, but these are the 3 that are most common. Now, the difference between these loans is that FHA and VA, they're more strict on the house that you're gonna be purchasing, okay? A conventional loan is actually more strict on the borrower. What do I mean by that? What I mean is that whenever you get your loan, you're gonna have an appraisal that is going to be done. Well, there are more stricter guidelines on an FHA and a VA house than there are on a conventional loan. And so that's really the main differences that you need to know about. And the other differences that are really important to a first-time home buyer is that on an FHA loan, you're usually gonna have to put down 3.5%. On a conventional loan, it's usually 5%. If you have a really good credit score, it can be 3%. And then if you have a VA loan, or if you qualify for a VA loan, you don't have to put a down payment down at all. Now, there are also down payment assistance programs that can help you with closing costs and help you with your down payment as well. And so whenever you talk to your lender, you can talk about those things. There are first-time home buyer programs that you can use as well, and those are always really, really helpful in getting a first-time home buyer into a house. That's why I always say, if you have a desire to get into a home, you just need to talk to your realtor, because there are so many tools out there at our disposal that we can use to get you in a home. Even if you don't have a down payment, right? Even if you don't have a down payment. I know that sounds crazy, but there are programs out there that we can help you with. The American dream is alive and well, right? Now, the next thing that your lender is going to talk to you about is how much money do you actually need to bring, or do you actually need to have in order to purchase a home? And so we talked about 3.5%, 5%, or possibly nothing with the VA loan, but you also have closing costs. So there's 2 pieces to whenever you're buying a home. You have your down payment, and then you have your closing costs. Now, closing costs will vary depending on a lot of different things. You're going to have to prepay some of your taxes. You're also gonna have to prepay some of your insurance. You're gonna have to pay for an appraisal, an inspection, and a few other things, an origination fee possibly for your lender. And then you're gonna have title fees and possibly some fees from your state. Now, those can fluctuate anywhere between 2 and 6%, all right? So if you're buying a house, you get your approved number. To make it easy, if it's a $100,000 home, your closing costs could be anywhere from $2,000 to $6,000, right? So you're gonna need that in addition to your down payment. Now, after you talk to your lender, so you found your realtor, you found your lender, we've talked through what your needs are, why you're actually gonna be buying a home, and now the next step is for us to actually go out and look at homes. You need to know exactly what you need, because if you have a family, you're gonna have certain needs. If you're single, you're gonna have certain needs. If you are thinking about moving in the near future, you're only here for a little while and you're gonna be renting the house out after you make your purchase. Those are different needs. So those are the things you need to think about. Figure out exactly where you wanna live at, and then we can go out and start looking at houses. So you're gonna have your pre-approval number, how much you're pre-approved for, and then you're gonna go out and look at houses. Now, shopping for houses, you wanna go out and look for houses that you love, okay? Look for the house that you can see yourself actually living in. Don't worry about the price. Obviously, you're gonna be searching for homes in your price range, but don't worry about the price. That's why you have a realtor. Enjoy the experience. Go into the house, walk through the house, see yourself, see your furniture in the house, see your friends, all the things that you're gonna be doing at the house. Also things that might be happening in the future as well. You wanna have an experience that is really, really good. You wanna make sure you can see yourself in that home. And when you walk through the door, especially the first house that you preview, don't feel bad about walking through the home. Sellers know that you're gonna be walking through their home, you're gonna be looking at things, and you have to visualize yourself in that home. So when you get to the home, you're gonna preview it. You can walk around with your realtor as well, or you can just go in and start looking around. What's the first thing? What are the biggest features that you're looking for in a home. You know, for myself, when I was buying our home with my wife, the thing we wanted is we needed 2 living areas. We needed an area for us where we could, you know, hang out, and it needed to be an open concept to the kitchen because my wife cooks quite a bit. We like to be in the same area together. And then we needed a second living area because we homeschool our kids. So we needed a second area that was away from the first living area. And so that's the first place we went. We go to the kitchen and we go to the living area and we see what it feels like, and then we look at the second living area. And you can feel it. You can feel if it's gonna be right for you. If the house isn't right when you first walk in, doesn't feel right, go on to the next one. Don't spend all day there. Go on to the next and find your dream home. Now, once you find your home, you find the home that you love, the next step is you're gonna make an offer on the home. Now, it's your agent's job to make sure that if it's the home you love, there's a little bit of a balance that we've got to have here. The balance is between getting you the home and paying the right price for the home, okay? So the house is gonna be listed at a price, and now your agent's gonna go back to their office. They're gonna run comparable sales on the house, let you know where the house is positioned in the market. That way you can discuss what type of offer you should make. Now, if the house if there's a lot of competition for the house, that's gonna change your offer. If there's not a lot of competition for the house, that'll change your offer. And depending on how long the house has been on the market, that's gonna determine what you offer as well. The other thing that a lot of people don't take into account is how reasonable is the seller. A house can be priced at one price for a long time, be on the market for a long time, and automatically we think that the seller must be desperate. I mean, the house has been on the market forever. I'm just gonna lowball this seller. Well, oftentimes that's not the case. A lot of times the seller just knows what they want. They have options. And so the thing that you need to do is not negotiate against yourself. Don't think about, what is the seller thinking? If I make this, they're gonna do that. That is not a good way for you to purchase a home. What you wanna do is you wanna make sure you have what you wanna pay in your head. And then once you find your dream home that you're willing to make an offer on, you need to figure out, what is the price that I'm willing to pay where if I actually get the home, I don't feel like I overpaid for it. And then if I don't get the home, I don't feel bad because I gave it my all. I gave the best offer that I wanted to give. And then you're not worried about what the seller is thinking, right? You just need to know what your bottom line in the sand is. And this is gonna help you make decisions whenever you're buying a home. And if you don't get it, then you're gonna say, okay, I didn't get that house. I loved it, but that's what I was willing to pay, and it was too much. And then you just let it go. Oh, here's another key note. That I wanna tell you. This is a good secret here. First-time home buyers, they always have trouble with this one, is because you're looking for the perfect house, right? And the question that always gets asked is, what happens if I put an offer on this house and a better house comes along, 2 weeks later, a week later, or even after I close on the house? And the answer to that is it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. So many houses come on the market, so many houses go off the market, there will always be a better house that will come along. So that's why you have to know what you want. That's why you have to have your drop dead line in the sand. This is what I'll offer for this house, and I feel good about my decision. So you've got to know what you want, and that's the key to not having buyer's remorse or not getting something that you want and wishing that you would have done more to get that house of your dreams. Now, after we make the offer, after we've gone back and your agent has told you where the house sits in the market, you've decided this is what I want to offer and this is where I'm not going to budge, you make the offer. Your offer gets accepted. Well, once your offer gets accepted, the next thing we're going to do is you're going to have your earnest money and you're going to have your option fee. Now, what is earnest money? Earnest money is money that you're going to put down, and it's going to show the seller that you're serious about actually purchasing this home. You've got to put some skin in the game in order for them to allow you to take the home off the market and actually transition to closing, because it's usually 30 to 45 days between when you make your offer to when you actually close on the home. That's the average. You can close before that. We've had houses close in 14 days, and you can close after that. We've had houses close 60 days, 70 days, So it all depends on what your needs are and when you need to close on the house. Your option fee is gonna be a fee that you're gonna pay to the seller no matter what. And this is gonna give you an option to do your inspections. You have the option to terminate the contract for any reason within a certain amount of days. Usually most buyers pick 10 days in this area. So you're gonna have 10 days to do your inspections, figure out what's going on with the house. And here's why you do inspections, and here's why you have an option period, because whenever you go and you look at a house, you are making a few assumptions. You are making an assumption that the electrical is good, that the plumbing is good, that the roof is good, that the HVAC actually works. And so in the 10 days where you're doing your inspections, you're actually going to look and see if those things are actually true. Because you're not gonna look around and plug a cell phone charger into every plug and see if they actually work, right? But then you're gonna make your offer, and let's say you make an offer on a house, $300,000. You're making that offer assuming there's no leaks in the roof, you're assuming that the microwave works. So whenever you get your inspection back and you see these things that aren't working, that's when you're gonna ask for your repairs. That's where the next negotiation comes in. So you have your first negotiation on the price, and you have your second negotiation on your repairs that you're asking for. And so that could be a myriad of different things. Your realtor will help you with finding an inspector that can actually help you determine what you're actually gonna be buying. That's what that inspection period is for. It's not to beat the seller up, to get as many things as you can. It's so you can say, okay, this is what I thought it was. This house, it's an older house. If it's an older house, you're like, I knew it was an older house. I knew that some of the things might not be updated, and the inspection report reflects that. Now, there are some things that you might not be able to live with. For instance, we talked about a roof, right? In order for you to get insurance on your house, you have to have a good roof. And so that would be a repair that you would ask for probably no matter what. So once your option period / inspection period is over, now we move into when you're in escrow and moving to your close date. Once the house is in escrow, you also are gonna have your title company that is going to be doing work for you as well. They're gonna be the one who's making sure that you're gonna have clear title whenever the house is transferred. If something comes up, they're also gonna give you title insurance on the property. They're gonna be checking to make sure that all the documents are together, everybody brings in their money. And whenever you close, they disperse all the money as well. So basically, they're like a third party, the buyer and the seller come to give all of their documents, all of their money to, and they basically work everything out for you and get you to the finish line. That is actually a really good entity that was put in the process for buying a home. Third party, non-biased, holding your money, getting everything together, making sure all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted. All right, and that's the person who's actually gonna be helping you sign your documents whenever you close as well. Now the next step, you're gonna get an appraisal. Your lender's gonna want an appraisal done. And we talked about that, a little bit about that earlier, but all the appraisal is the appraisal is going to show your lender that the house that you're actually buying is what it is, because the lender's not gonna come to the house, check it out, and then give you the money. But the appraiser's gonna come in, they're gonna compare the house to comparable sales in the area, they're gonna make sure the house is livable, and then they're gonna get that document back to the lender, and they're gonna either say, yes, we're good to go, or they're gonna say no. Now let's talk a little bit about a few things that can happen with an appraisal. An appraisal, if the appraisal comes in low, for instance, you're buying a house for $300,000 and the appraisal comes in at $290,000. Well, there are a few things that can happen here, because this does happen sometimes, right? Is that the appraiser says this house isn't worth it based on what's going on here. But there might have been a lot of demand for the house or something like that, and a lot of times that's what drives prices up, and you can get into this situation. So if that does happen, there are a few options that you can take. If you have a contingency in your loan that allows you to get out of the transaction if the appraisal comes in low, you can exercise that right to get out of the transaction. So that way you're not having to bring the extra money to pay the difference in the appraisal. So that's one thing, you could get out of the contract. The other thing you could do is you could bring the money for the difference. So in this case, it would be $10,000 that you would have to bring extra in addition to your closing cost and your down payment. The other thing is the seller could just come down on the price. So they could say, okay, it didn't appraise. I had an idea that it might not appraise. We had multiple offers, and so I'm gonna come down on the price. Or a lot of times, which a lot of sellers and buyers do, is they just meet in the middle. You know, so for instance, on this one, if it's $10,000, the buyer would pay $5,000, the seller would give $5,000, meet in the middle, and then most of the time, everybody's happy with that because a buyer and a seller, you think it's fair if you cut it in half, right? But you're gonna wanna talk with your realtor about that because there's gonna be a lot of events that have happened up to get to this point that you can use as leverage to possibly get some money off there or not to just have to split the difference. All right, so that's what could happen if an appraisal comes in short. It could also come in that the appraisal comes in above the value. And if that happens, that just means you have instant equity in your home. Congratulations. That is the best case scenario for a buyer. You're buying the house for $300,000, the appraisal comes in at $310,000. Now, once you get the appraisal, once all that is done, then really the next thing to do is your final walkthrough right before your close date. All right, so you're gonna have a final walkthrough, you're gonna come through. The seller should have all of their things out of the house. You walk through just to make sure that everything looks the way that it should. If the seller had some repairs to make, they should get you the repair list, the receipts, and pictures of the repairs so that you know that they have been done. Also at this time, you can have your inspector come back out to re-inspect those repairs, or if you feel good because you actually have receipts, you don't have to call out the inspector again because usually there's a warranty on the work that has been done on those repairs as well. So if something comes up, you can just call the company back out. They can come out and fix those repairs. So as you walk through, if everything looks good, we will go to the title company, sign papers, and you are now, well, actually, let me hold up one second. Whenever you sign your papers, when do you actually get the keys to your home? You do not get the keys to the home right when you sign. So the seller's gonna come in and sign, then you as the buyer, you're gonna come in and sign. The title company is gonna get all of the documents together. They're gonna get with the lender. You're gonna give your money to the title escrow officer, which is gonna be your cash to close for your closing cost. Then the lender is gonna send their wire in for the rest of the funds to fund the loan minus what you were putting down on your down payment. Once they get all that, everything has been signed, they make sure everything looks good. Then the escrow officer at the title company is gonna give you the funding approval. Once we have funding approval from the title company, that is when you get your keys. So just signing the documents does not make it official. You have to have funding approval from the title company showing that everything has been funded, and then they're going to get everything recorded at the courthouse to make sure everything's legal. All right, so once that is done, now you get your keys. And now once you get your keys, everything's good to go. So congratulations. Those are the steps and what it looks like to walk through an actual transaction and get to the closing table. All right, I wanna thank you for checking out this step-by-step process on how to purchase a home as a first-time home buyer. One other video that I think you're gonna find valuable as well is gonna be top common mistakes that buyers make. You can click on it right here to check it out, and look forward to seeing you on the next video.